It's that time. Everything and anything basketball, presented by The Outrage. With Kajan and Spencer and host Spencer Byers, this is Polar Opposites.
Welcome to Polar Opposites. Spencer Byers, Kajan, Danny Castleham, and it's here, Cage, the eve of the NBA basketball season.
Yes, sir.
Recording this on Monday, the 23rd of October, and if I'm not mistaken, Cage, which I feel like I nodded, you would have corrected me right there, the NBA season starts tomorrow on Tuesday, the 24th, with the NBA finally getting underway. The NHL already started. The NBA is finally following suit. So top 10 position predict top 10 for every position. Our top 10 players at every position. NBA predictions, where we think teams are going to finish in the standings. Is there a way too early championship pick? And then we're going to talk about, with that, obviously with the East and West predictions, injuries that are going to be affecting the teams that we maybe rank higher or rank lower. And then Cage wants to talk about all the new bigs that have been coming in the league for the past probably 10 years or so, but it's kind of been what word should I use, Cajun? How it's been, I guess, spearheaded by Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama coming into the league the last 2 years and have been seemingly just two of the most freakish players we've seen. Guys who are over 7 feet, not 7 feet, they're 7'2" and 7'4", I believe, for Chet and Wembanyama. And both can shoot the ball really well, both can handle really well. Both are good rim protectors. They're kind of unicorns in that respect. And then at the very end, after we give our predictions of our favorite teams, Celtics for me, Raptors for Cajun, we're going to say what we realistically expect from our two favorite franchises. And hopefully we can get out of here without going an hour and a half. But at this point, that seems almost impossible. But Cajun, we're going to start right now with the top 10 players per position. Gage, do you want to go 10 and 10, or do you want to go 10 to 1 and then I go 10 to 1?
Let's go 10 to 1.
So you go ahead then first, Gage. You tell us your number 10 point guard to your number 1 point guard.
And folks, this gets a little bit dicey because these guys play all over the place. Whether it's point guard, shooting guard. So you might hear some names that you might think shouldn't be there. Don't worry, they'll be in different rankings. But for me, in terms of rankings, and this point guard position is exceptionally deep. It's exceptionally deep. I have Jamal Murray at 10.
Cajun, are you all right? You love him.
I do. And he's been a great playoff performer. But it remains to be seen how he can, but we've never seen this in the regular season. And it speaks to the amount of depth that this point guard position is. Now, I might look like a fool for this if he shows what he does. He shows what he can do in the regular season from like playoff performance. Like he shows what he can do in the playoffs in the regular season. But he hasn't done that yet. And he's like he didn't really play. I wouldn't say he didn't play enough games, but the regular season last year was kind of like a tune-up for him in terms of last year's playoffs. And we all saw how he was during that playoff run in which Denver ultimately won the title. So I have him as 10. That could easily change if he plays like he did during the playoffs. Now 9. And this gets a little bit interesting because there's so many good point guards here. But I'm going to say LaMelo at 9. Now, only reason he's been just as injury prone too, but he's also had an all-star appearance. And he might be the only good thing that's going for Charlotte.
Cajun,
8.
you're just trying to upset me. You're just trying to upset me, Cajun. Go ahead. Continue. Continue, Cajun.
8. And unlike other people that have him ranked at 15, I have him ranked at 8th. And that is Darius Garland. Number 7. Number 7, Trae Young. Okay, so let me get this out the way. Murray.
Well, Cage, I just wrote down my list. Well, I've been kind of fine tuning my list, I guess I should say, and I got like 12 names, and you haven't said some of them yet, and I'm getting a little worried that some of them aren't gonna make the list, Cage. Getting a little worried.
So I got Murray, Ball, Garland.
So who's 7?
Out of this list that I kind of made up, there's 11.
So who's not gonna make the list?
I'm gonna say Trae Young is 7th. And then 6, I would have to say is Jalen Brunson.
Well, I'll make sure I say, if you can hear that in Cajun's background, it is the construction that is continuing at the Thiru Castle household.
Yeah, it gets unpredictable. 5 is De'Aaron Fox.
Good pick.
So, unlike a so-called media outlet that had him as 22nd last year, I got him as 5th.
Yo, okay, wait. You're already at 4, and I still haven't heard a bunch of guys, Cage. So you better shape up. What's going on here?
Some of these guys are going to be in shooting guard. Some of these guys are going to be in the shooting guard position.
Okay, I think I'm gonna take one out of mine and add him to the shooting guard position. I think is what I'm gonna do. And I will say who he is obviously when we get to shooting guards, because I assume that's where you put him as well because of the guy you put in the point guard position.
Yeah, that's why I warned y'all beforehand. I'm like, so if you don't hear any names, a lot of them are going to be in the shooting guard position. So Damian Lillard at 4. Tyrese Halliburton at 3.
Whoa, okay. Now I have Halliburton on the list, but I don't think he's gonna make it to 3. Jesus, and you and I love Halliburton. Like it has been a running meme on the show, Cage, that you and I love Tyrese Halliburton, but that's pretty high, Cage.
I have high hopes for him, and I think he showed his capabilities as a top 3 point guard. Last year, the only problem is he wasn't healthy. That was the only issue. And I'm basing a lot of these point guards as guys who actually do play the point guard majority of the time. And then second for me is Steph Curry, and 1 is Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 is pretty easy. In all fairness, I think 1 and 2 is pretty is pretty simple.
I know this has kind of been a list that's kind of shocked you, but it's not an easy list to make because some of these guys play point guard but don't really play point guard.
Okay, I'll make sure I say wait. Can you repeat the list one more time, just so I can get another mental picture of it?
Okay, so I got Luka at 1.
Yep.
Steph Curry at 2.
Halliburton at 3, Lillard at 4.
5 is De'Aaron Fox. 6 is Jalen Brunson. 7 is Trae Young. 8 is Darius Garland. 9 is LaMelo Ball. And 10 is Jamal Murray.
Well, see, I also got 10. And it's not the same 10, relatively, because, of course, some of these guys have to be in the rankings because, Curry, Luka, obviously you and I both have Halliburton, etc. But I do have a couple at the latter end, Cage, that are different from you. Just a couple.
Okay.
And I'm surprised you omitted a name. And I was kind of wondering where you'd put him because he's the wild card, in my opinion, of the NBA rankings and the point guard rankings. But I'm going to go with talent. I don't really care about the off the court because if I was a GM, I wouldn't. And I would be the first one to tell you, I do not care what you do off the floor. I care what you do on the floor. So if you are a good enough player to mitigate your distraction, you will be on my basketball team. Kyrie Irving sometimes oversteps that line.
I think I know who you're referring to.
I think you do too.
But it's only because of his 25-game suspension and this is an 82-game season that I kind of have him to the side right now.
Well, it's okay because Trae Young does not make my list. LaMelo Ball does not make my list. So I think those are the two names that you and I do not agree on at all because I do not like LaMelo Ball or Trae Young at all. I think they're horribly inefficient on bad basketball teams. So I just do not see a need for them to be on my top 10 list. My number 10 point guard, Kate, if you want to order this up for me because I just kind of wrote down names and went, I'll order them later. Number 10, the new Philadelphia 76ers starting point guard, Tyrese Maxey. And the reason why he's going point guard is because James Harden has become such a non-factor. I think he's going to play point guard. So that's my point guard. Number 10, Tyrese Maxey. You could argue shooting guard. You probably put him in your shooting guard rankings.
I do have him in my shooting guard rankings.
Which makes sense. I think he's better than both Young and Ball, in my opinion. But because of Harden now becoming a non-factor and Harden maybe needing to be in this point guard list because he led the league in assists last year, I think putting Maxey at 10, for me works because I love Tyrese Maxey. Hero also just misses out. I love Tyler Hero, but he hasn't started for his own team, which I think is a problem. So once he starts starting for Miami, I think he'll move into that top 10 role, I think.
See, for me, I have him as shooting guard. If he does make my ranking, he's shooting guard.
I would also agree with that, but now with Gabe Vincent gone, I'm not even sure where he's going to play. Because, again, these guys are moved all over the floor. Like some nights, Cage, I literally look at score, and it says Tatum shooting guard, Jaylen Brown power forward. And I go, oh, okay, fair enough. Anyway.
See, that's the issue with making these rankings.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even argue with you with that.
Because what position do they even play at the end of the day?
Yeah, everyone kind of plays everywhere except for center. Center's like the only spot we can actually say. Now, the 7-footer goes there. So Maxey for me is number 10. Number 9 is Ja Morant. For obvious reasons, as I just said, that I think
talent-wise, he's way up there.
He's top 5 if you talent, but the problem is I think so that's why he moves down the list for me. He's in the top 10 because I think he has to be in the top 10 even with 25-game suspension. But because Kajan, and I told you, I'm looking right now at the point guard stats of last year. 2 point guards of the top 15, top 16 up in the NBA last year averaged 20 points or more as a point guard. So 16 point guards did that. Of the 16, only 2 of them played more than 70 games. 2 of them. So, availability I think is a problem, but I think it's a problem across the board as Adam Silver's trying to do right now, getting guys to not take as many games for load management. This is an 82-game league, and you're consistently like Luka Doncic, 66 games. Steph Curry, 56 games. De'Aaron Fox played the most, 73. Jalen Brunson, 68. Halliburton only played 56. And I'm not saying injuries don't happen, but the reality is availability matters. So I agree with you that Morant, because of the suspension, drops, but not out of the top 10 for me. Not out of the top 10. So go ahead.
For my top 10, it literally had to come down to availability over Morant. Because at the end of the day, in terms of how these guys are going to be in terms of ranking stats wise, or maybe players wise, or maybe player like stats wise, or like awards wise, Morant's not gonna have a shot at that because he's gonna miss 25 games to begin it off, and then who knows how many games he might miss. Like obviously injuries are a factor too.
So, Cage, I'm going to tell a lie. I'm going to make Shea play shooting guard because I forgot to put him in my point guard list. And I don't want to reorder this because I love Tyrese Maxey. I think he deserves a mention. So I'm going to say Shea is a shooting guard, and he will be in the shooting guard list because I'm looking at my list right now and going, I mean, Shea obviously makes a top 10 list no matter what position you play him at. You can play him at center, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's top 10 player. Anyway, so I'll continue. So Maxey, Morant, number 7 for me, or number 8 for me, is a real problem because there's so many good players. I think it's got to be Jamal Murray. You said the regular season didn't really panned out for him. I agree with you. But in saying that, he did average 20 a game last year, one of 16 point guards to do that. So I think that gives him a mention almost immediately in that. When you're one of the 16 top scoring point guards and you play with the Joker and you play with Gordon and MPJ, I mean, you know, and then obviously his great playoff run does obviously add to that mystique. So then to 7, I got to go with, I think, Jalen Brunson. 7's got to be, I think, Brunson.
Well, you have him a spot below where I did.
I think at this point, Cage, at this point, you could argue from as I look for the name, Jamal Murray down. I think you could argue any one of these guys to move a spot up or down because I love all these guys.
Fair
So
enough.
Brunson, I said 7, 6, Tyrese Halliburton. Because as you and I talked about, we love Tyrese Halliburton. And actually, wait, that's a lie. So flip Fox and Halliburton. De'Aaron Fox goes 6, Halliburton goes 5.
Okay.
And now I'm in a sticky situation. Because I think I gotta go Darius Garland 5 or 4.
You have Garland at 4.
I have Garland. I love Darius Garland. Darius Garland was an 11th point guard in points per game at 21. He's super efficient. He shoots 41% from 3. He averaged almost 8 assists a game, and he plays with Spinda and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. His team is gross, and he is a great component of it. And when he is injured, you see it on the floor for Cleveland. So I think he's a pivotal player for that team. And again, I love Darius Garland. So Garland goes 4. Damian Lillard goes 3. And if the Bucks are as good as we think they're going to be, he could move up. Curry goes 2, and Luka goes 1.
So 1 and 2 were basically the same.
Because they have to be. Like, you can argue Curry over Doncic, but I think the youth for Luka is going to take over with that. And maybe playing with Kyrie might, maybe mess up that ranking a little bit. But,
You have Kyrie as a 2 spot?
I don't know. I have Kyrie as a 2. I also have Shea as a 2.
Okay.
I also, because if we're gonna put Luka at the 1, we have to put Kyrie. I had Kyrie in my point guard list, and then I was looking at it like, no, I have 11 names, and I was like, I don't think he could make it. Like, I know he can make it at point guard, but if I have Luka on his same team, they both can't play point guard, so I'll put him at shooting guard. And then I'll say the same thing for Shea. I will say Giddey's the point guard and call Shea the shooting guard. That'll be my cop out basically. So Kajan, your shooting guards. 10-1. So I guess I'll recap mine if I can remember them all. It went Maxey, Morant, Murray, Brunson, Fox, Halliburton, Garland, Lillard, Curry, Doncic. 10-1.
Okay.
I believe on my ranking. I think you're the one writing them down. Kind of, I'm not writing them down.
I'm writing mine down for shooting guards. And
All right.
let me go from 1 to 10 because I'm still
okay. So who do you got 1?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Wow, what a bold pick, Cage.
I mean, you could argue Booker's at the top of that list, but to me,
I wouldn't.
But to me, when you average, and this has last year was like the first healthy season that Shea has had, but when you average 31 a game and 5 and 5, and not only that, and I think this is the bigger separation factor for me here. when you average a steal and a half and a block per game, so you're one of the premium two-way players at your position. That to me decided the factor between me and between SGA and Booker. That it's sort of like a high ranking and that's sort of recency bias, probably. But it was a heck of a season for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
And I guess another question to ask though is because Booker looks like he's playing the point guard, do we technically call him a point guard? And no offense to Devin Booker, he's probably better than Maxey. Morant, I don't know. And after that, maybe Jamal. He's better than Jamal Murray, but I don't think he's better than Brunson. I know he's not better than Halliburton or Fox or Garland or etc. for me. So like, I'm not really sure Booker where he fits right now because you've also got Bradley Beal in there, who I don't think is going to make the shooting guard list for either of us. But again, he's a mention of like, hey, he is a really good basketball player. He is. Bradley Beal, and we're just going to see where he plays now.
Well, with that being said, I do have Booker at 2 for obvious reasons. Like, had it not been for Shai, he'd be number 1 on my list. And yeah, it's just he can get you a bucket at any point in the game. My only question is like, how is the adjustment process going to be now that CP3 is not in the picture, and how does he adjust with Beal and Durant? That to me is a bigger issue, but I think he's more like that KD type where like you could fit him into almost anything, into almost any system, and he'll thrive. Because we saw it at Kentucky when he played a different role, and then his early Phoenix years, even at the Olympics, he played a more 3-and-D type role. So yeah, I have him at 2. Number 3, and this is a little iffy because this guy can either play the 2, the 3, the 4, but I think you're gonna like this. Jaylen Brown.
Number 3, hey?
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably going to overrank him anyway, but apparently I wasn't going to overrank him. So you know what? That's a big dub for me. That's a big dub.
Pretty much. I believe he had $300 million man now.
The new $300 million man.
We could talk about how he can't dribble with his left hand and how he turns the ball over. The man can score and defend. Get to the line, score from all 3 positions, rebounds the ball exceptionally well. A great two-way player. If he was on any other team, you could argue he'd be 1. But because Tatum's right beside him, it's kind of taken away from his production a little bit, but heck of a player nonetheless. Now 4. You could argue this guy could be 3, Donovan Mitchell. First season Cleveland, a resounding success, but what's going to be really interesting is that those extension talks with the Cavs have kind of like stalled a bit, and it's a make or break season for Cleveland based off of how the playoffs went against the Knicks. How's he going to adjust to even more pressure? Like, how will he adjust being either a secondary playmaker or the closer? Because it remains to be seen. Will Evan Mobley take over that secondary playmaker role? And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Donovan Mitchell adjusts to that. Now 5. And 5, I am a big fan of him. And I think he is a premier talent. Availability has been an issue for obvious reasons. But I got to go with my boy here, Kyrie.
So Irving goes 5 in the shooting guard list.
He's a bucket getter.
You said Devin Booker's a walking bucket. No offense to Devin Booker, but Kyrie Irving is a walking bucket.
Like the only way he'll stop you can shut him down is
pray.
That's how good of a bucket getter he is. And with the fact that Luka's playing the point guard and Luka's kind of dealing with a calf issue of his own right now, Kyrie might have a big year and remind everybody why he's still one of the premier guards in the NBA. Now six, this gets a little bit iffy
Cage,
because
I'm having a problem making a bloody list. I'm looking at these shooting guards like I don't like that player, I don't like that player. God, I don't like that player. I'm getting starting running up names, Cage, running out of names.
now six, this guy could easily rise up. And like he's only 22 years old. We've talked about the joke about Tatum. It's like he's 19, he's 20, he's 21, he's 22. But this guy's 22 and could easily catapult up this rankings because I looked at the sort of list that I kind of made up right now. It's like, oh, I got to put this guy on right now. Anthony Edwards.
I mean, Ant's got to make any shooting guard list, don't he?
Yep. But I have him as sixth, and he could easily rise up.
Easily rise up.
7. DeJounte Murray.
I like that pick. It took me a minute to put him on the list, Cage. I'll be honest. It took me a minute. I was arguing about it in my head, because I was like, but Andy's so good defensively, I think he's got to make a list.
And he already went through that growing pains of like first year in a new team after being the go-to guy for so long in San Antonio for a minute. And I'm gonna be honest, he kind of adjusted well between Trae Young, but there's still so much more room for growth. And now with another year of seasoning in Atlanta and another year of being in that backcourt with Trae Young, I think he's gonna surprise people. I think he's gonna surprise people and remind everyone that those numbers in San Antonio, you're gonna see those numbers in his last year in San Antonio. Like you're gonna see numbers close to that this year. Now 8. And talent-wise, I don't know if you really if you can really consider him a shooting guard. He's had so many injury issues, but he's got the talent. Paul George.
That's a great pick, PG. I don't even have PG on my list because he is a shooting guard / small forward. I'm not even sure he makes either because he is so injury prone now. And I love Paul George. I think the world of Paul George. I think Kawhi for me the same thing. I love Kawhi Leonard, but what is he now? With all the injuries, with all the leg injuries, with all the hiatuses. Like, what are they as players right now? I got to see it for an extended period of time to know what Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are. So I don't think either of them will make my list. But I do appreciate that PG is getting a mention.
And 9. And I'm kind of going to give it away here with the drama surrounding James Harden. It's going to benefit one person and one person in particular, and that's Tyrese Maxey. So I got Maxey at 9, and he showcased a lot. And he's still young. And now he could be like that combo 1-2 player. Like he could play at the 1, he could play at the 2. I consider him at the 2. Spencer had him at the 1 in his rankings. But I consider him I don't really see him as a natural 1. That's the thing for me. He's more so like a shooting guard that can play make. That has the capability to play make. But his natural ability is to score. So, and hey, he could catapult up these rankings too. Based off of the opportunity that he has. So for me, 9 has to be, for me, is Tyrese Maxey. And 10, and this is where like I could get flack for this.
Okay, who you putting at 10?
Because we got Jaylen Brown, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kyrie Irving, Shea, Murray, Mitchell.
Obviously not in that order, but yes, those players.
Let's get those guys out of the way. So I'm kind of deciding between 4 names right now.
Okay, who are the 4 names?
Zach LaVine, Desmond Bane, Tyler Hero. No, 3. Zach LaVine, Desmond Bane, Tyler Hero.
I love Tyler Hero. I actually have Desmond Bane on my list. And Zach LaVine can kick rocks. Zach LaVine is bum. Okay, Zach LaVine did not make my list. Zach LaVine would not make my list. I do not like Zach LaVine as a player. I don't, and that's biased. That's fine. I don't care. I don't like him as a player. He doesn't make my list. So if you want to put Zach LaVine there at number 10, you can. It'll be the last time he's mentioned on this podcast. On this episode, at least.
Luckily for you, Zach LaVine would have been the third out of those three.
Oh, damn right. Damn right, Cage.
And as much as I love Tyler Hero, the opportunity that Desmond Bane's gonna get is going to be too great for me.
First 25 games, especially without Morant, as you mentioned.
Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., as good as he is defensively, isn't as good offensively as he is defensively. So to start things off for the first 25 games, Desmond Bain is going to be that one option, and because of that alone, I'm going with Bain. He's shown a lot. He's shown a lot since he got drafted by Memphis at 30th. I am still livid that Toronto could have had an opportunity to draft him at 29, but instead they went with I don't want to cuss here, and I'm not going to, but they went with, out of all people, Malachi Flynn, Mr. 73.
Hey, Malachi was great in college. It just sucks it never panned out at the pros. That's all I gotta say.
I do
SDSU star.
I do think his development was stalled.
Yeah, Nick Nurse kind of messed that all up, didn't he?
Yeah, and he has looked better this preseason. He has. But that's beside the point right now. I have Bain at 10.
I like that pick. Gotta be honest here, Cage. I was worried about 3 names that were gonna make your list. I was gonna be very upset about Austin Reeves.
No,
that one.
No.
I don't know where he's gonna fit on a lot of people's lists.
He's not on my top 10. Like
I love Josh Giddey. I didn't know if he'd make my list. He doesn't, because again, I don't really know if he's a shooting guard or a point guard between him and Shea.
To me, he's a point guard.
I agree with you. He's on the shooting guard tab of the NBA, while Shea's a 1. But regardless of which one you want to say, I'm not sure if he makes either the point guard or shooting guard list, but I feel like he's a top 15, either Josh Giddey, because of all the other things he can do. His shooting isn't great, but he's a good rebounder, great passer, pretty good defender because he's long, all of those things.
And then what's 3?
And the number 3, Cage, you either gonna love or hate, and you know I love this guy, Montreal's own Benedict Mathurin. I didn't put him in. Mathurin didn't make the list, but I love Benedict Mathurin, and I had to convince myself, Cajun. I had to convince myself. Okay, I kept looking at him, Cage. I kept going down the list, like, I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. Looking at Benedict Mathurin, I'm like, oh, I want to put you in so bad. But I can't.
I think in a year or two, you'll see him in the top 10.
I can't justify it. I agree, 1,000%. He'll probably be in next year's list. And I also, I'll say a 4th. Jordan Poole. I wanted to put Jordan Poole in so bad, because I think he's going to be so good. He's going to drop like 28 this year in Washington because they're so bad. But anyway, I think
he's honorable for me.
I wanted to put Poole in too, but he just couldn't fit in. Cage just couldn't fit in.
As it all what decide. Maybe I could have had Poole there. I probably should have had Poole there instead of Levine, like for honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's kind of like iffy for me is like, 1, he doesn't really play any defense, but who does? And 2, he's on a new team. So, and I think with the Jordan Poole experience, the problem is you'll have one game in which he'll drop 45 and think he's a top 5 shooting guard in the NBA, and then he'll go 1 for 15 the next day. And to me, that sort of like pendulum from like game to game, or like 2 games, 1 game type thing. He's not
the inconsistencies kind of take away from it, don't they?
Yeah, that's the issue, and that's the issue for me. Now,
okay,
by the end of this season, he'll easily be top 10
because Washington's so bad. He'll be the number 1 option.
Yeah.
Like, let's be completely honest with it. It's because he's playing on a bad team, but it's also because he's gonna be the number 1 option, not a bench player like he was in Golden State. But anyway, so my top 10 shooting guards. Now, Cage, I couldn't find 10 I liked. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, Cage. I couldn't do it.
Before we get into that, what do you think about my top 10?
I like it. You know, I don't like a lot of shooting guards right now. I think I found out doing this list. I got to like 6 and went, oh my god, I hate like all of these players, all these guys I do not like. Not that they're not good players, I don't like them. I don't think they're top 10 players at any position. But because of the shooting guards I'm looking at right now, I'm like, I think they got to make it. That's why I loved your Paul George shout, even though I don't think he makes the list. So my number 10 shooting guard, as I scan down my list, Cajun, I think it's got to be Desmond Bane. I
Okay,
want to
so
put him higher because of the other guys I have in this list, but I can't justify it. I think if he has a great year this year, if he can replicate his 21 and a half points per game, shoot a little more efficiently, and be a continued star of that team, it needs to kind of buck up without Ja Morant for the first 25 games. I think he moves the list.
I think if he does exactly what he did last year, but is healthy, because health was the issue.
He only played 58 games last year. You're right. That is true. So Desmond Bane's number 10. Number 9. He had to make the list, Cage, because I couldn't justify putting Kyrie on the list, putting Ja Morant on the list, and not putting him on the list, even though you're going to be very surprised I say this name. James Harden is number 9 as my best shooting guards in the NBA. You can't lead the league in assists and not make the top 10 list. That can't happen. Cage, I put Klay Thompson in. It was going to be Klay and then Bane. And then I kept looking at James like, Harden can't not make the list, Cage. Harden has to be on the list. As much as I hate him, as much as he's doing some stupid stuff, I can't admit him from the list. He has to go on. So James Harden, number 9. That's all I'm going to say. Bane 10, Harden 9.
Well,
now to number 8. Go ahead.
I would have to me, I have Harden as a point guard, and it's obvious because I had Maxey in this rankings as the 2.
Yeah, and I flipped it. So we're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So Harden number 8. Number 9. Number 8. Now the going gets tough because all these guys I think are razor close.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's between 2 names. I'm sorry, DeJounte. DeJounte goes 8. DeJounte Murray goes 8 for Atlanta. Bradley Beal goes 7. And the reason why Beal's on the list is because he's never played point guard. Booker and Beal are both shooting guards. We're going to see who plays point guard this year. The difference between Kyrie and Luka to me is they both played together already. We already know Luka's the 1 and Kyrie's the 2. We've never seen Booker and Beal play an NBA game. Like a regular season NBA game, I should say. So when we see them together, we can argue about who's the point guard, who's the shooting guard, who's the small forward with Kevin Durant also being there, whatever. Beal gets 7. Because again, Beal was 6th in points per game. Even though availability, again, he was also about 50% from the field, which is really good. He's really efficient, which I appreciate. So Beal gets in as well.
I think my issue with Beal is availability is 1.
I agree. But when you're playing for a bad team, though, I always wonder if that's an actual injury or if they're just trying to tank. And I know, like, relatively teams don't tank anymore, but in the NBA, I feel like they do. Football, you can't. I think in the NBA, you can. Because of the small rosters and stuff, I think you can. You could tank. In the NFL, you couldn't tank because there's too many guys. You have a 53-man roster in the NFL compared to a 12 to 15 guy rotation in the NBA.
And I think my biggest question for Beal, aside from availability, and I think it's based off of like guys that have the potential to rise. How's he going to look as a third option? He's never been a third option.
That's a fair point.
So,
but I'm just basing it off of what he's done now. By coming into the year, where does he go? I think he's 7th best shooting guard in the league. That could change. He could be the 12th best point guard next year. I don't know. But right now, I think Bradley Beal needs a mention on the list because of how talented he is.
I think he's honorable mention for me, but not on the list yet. Like
you put Paul George, who's more injury prone than Beal, so I don't want to hear that. Anyway, Gage,
he is more injury prone than Beal, but
you've been blocked. We're gonna continue the list, Gage. Okay, we've already gone like 40 minutes on this. Okay, we still got to do 2 more positions plus our season rankings. Okay, so I'm gonna speed you up. Anyway,
okay.
So Beal. Now it gets a little harder, and I think it's got to be Anthony Edwards next, which means Anthony Edwards goes 6th.
Well, we both have him at 6th.
Well, I think we're gonna both down to Mitchell at 5. I thought about flip-flopping him, but I love Donovan Mitchell too much. He had also averaged the most points per game of any shooting guard last year in 68 games, which is more than Devin Booker. And I think Mitchell's got to be number 4, just above Ant. But those guys are razor thin. 5 down.
Who do you have as 5?
I have Ant.
You have
Anthony
Ant,
Edwards.
then at 6?
What, sorry?
Who's at 6 then?
It goes Bane, Harden, DeJounte Murray.
Okay, Beal.
Or no, Beal. Yeah, it goes DeJounte Murray, then Beal. So Beal's technically 6, I think. Because it's going to go
I swear,
Bane 10,
Beal's
Harden
7?
9, Murray 8, Beal 7. I guess Ant 6, Mitchell 5. Yeah, I guess that's the way it's got to go. Edwards 6, Mitchell 5. I have
Okay.
4 names left.
Yeah, okay.
So Mitchell, again, raise your thin between Anthony Edwards and Donovan Mitchell, but I love Mitchell more, I guess. And Mitchell averaged way more points than poor Ant. In less games, in fairness to Ant, whose availability has been great, but if we're putting Booker higher than both of them, I mean, availability matters. So now I got Kyrie, Shea, Booker, and Brown left. Those are the 4 I got left.
Shea, Booker, Brown, and Kyrie. Okay.
I think Kyrie's got to go 4.
Okay.
Booker's going to go 3. I got Jaylen Brown as number 2, and Shea, I agree with you. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander goes number 1.
You were going off at me for putting them so high. You ended up having him
Well,
at 1.
I was gonna put him 3, and then you put him 3, so I have to put him 2. I can't put him 3. I'm not gonna be the homer and put him at 3 and match the Raptors fan. That just ain't right. That just ain't right. I also don't like Devin Booker.
Was
To
a
be
little
completely
bit
honest,
high.
I also don't like Devin Booker. I'm not a fan of his game. I'm not saying he's not a great player. That's not what this is. It's just I'm not a big fan of Devin Booker. And obviously, as we all know, I love me some Jaylen Brown. So now to the small forwards list, Cage. This one's a little more interesting because there's all types, all shapes and sizes of shooting guards. Do you prefer the Scotty Barnes? Do you prefer the, I'll go Jeremy Grant, Mikal Bridges? There's so many names that could make the list, but do they? I don't know.
I mean, in the case of Mikal Bridges, if he's not a shooting guard, then he's a small forward for me.
Well, he's on the small forward list for the NBA of last season, so that's all I'm saying.
Okay, so number 1, let's get this out of the way. Jason Tatum.
Say it again. Say it again, Kitch. I didn't hear you. Wait, say it again.
Jason Tatum.
One more time, a little faster. One more time.
Jason Tatum.
Sounds about right. Continue.
Number 2. Now, 2 and 3, I could argue could flip flop, and some could argue this guy could be ahead of the other. But I got 2 LeBron, 3 KD. Number 4, and this has to be based off of the playoff run. Jimmy G buckets. The G stands for gets Jimmy Butler. Now 5, and I feel like I'm kind of overranking him a little bit, but hey, whatever, because he was so good in Brooklyn when he got traded there, and I think he's with the number 1 option. I think he's going to elevate himself even more. Mikal Bridges at 5. 6, and this is with me hoping that he finally sort of plays 60 games like he did in Toronto from 2018 in the 2018-19 season. Kawhi Leonard. Now 7, and this is where this sort of gets a little bit dicey. I think he's such a bucket getter, and he's done a couple of different things as of late, and his game has aged well in spite of him not shooting threes. DeMar DeRozan. And he's healthy, which is a big deal here. Number 8, and this is based off of talent, because he's shown it, but he doesn't really stay on the floor, but he is a great talent. Brandon Ingram. Number 9, and I had to decide how this was going to be between 2 Raptors players.
Lol.
But I gotta go Scotty Barnes because the opportunity is just too great for him right now, being a point forward. And 10, it's not a Raptor. Franz Wagner.
You insert swear word here, Cajun. I put him on the list. I love Franz Wagner. He was going to be on the list. How could you take Franz Wagner from me? The German maestro.
We might be polar opposites here, but hey, some things we do have in common. I just think offensively he's more fluid than Anunoby, and defensively he can hold his own. That's the deciding factor for me over OG. But I do love OG. So Tatum, LeBron, KD, Jimmy Butler, Mikal Bridges, Kawhi, DeMar, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Franz Wagner.
I don't disagree. Obviously, there's a couple players I have admitted that you haven't. I want to put an honorable mention. Chris Middleton. He's now going to be the third option, and he also is very injury prone. I want to put him on the list. I love him as a player, but he misses out. I know he misses out on your list too, but I just want to mention Chris Middleton deserves a mention.
I agree.
Wiggins maybe could have made a list, but again, his availability has been kind of suspect. Or as the chef in Ratatouille said, highly suspect. Which I think I'm going to use way more as a meme now, because that is a hilarious line. And I also, Cajun, I got to be honest here. You know, my lists have been serious, but I've had a couple players that I really like on the bottom tiers to be able to big them up. Dylan Brooks almost made it. Genuinely. I looked at Dylan Brooks and went, I think he's going to make it. And then I started getting down to names and I went, I don't think I don't think I can put Dylan Brooks here. But if Dylan Brooks has a great year with Houston, which he very well could with how good he was with Canada. We'll see if that translates.
And by the way, folks, you used to hate Dylan Brooks.
Well, because I thought he was a knob from all the things he said in the media. And then I watched him play basketball for Canada and drop, 38 in the bronze medal game against the Americans to win the bronze medal against the Americans at the World Cup. And what else am I supposed to feel, Cajun? It's like when a Canadian scores at the World Cup when we were in Qatar against Belgium. I was there. I wasn't in Qatar. I was in a bar with a bunch of, ironically, former CSM students now, but CSM colleagues, as one of our idiotic colleagues used to call them. Anyway,
which one was that? No.
I think you know. Anyway, so we were all there, right? And we watched Canada score the first goal ever at a World Cup. It was amazing. It was a great moment. I honestly, best part is I can't tell you who scored it, but I remember that moment of watching the ball go through and reacting a little bit because I'm a soccer fan. Unlike other people who just watch and go, goal. I reacted to the build-up play. Anyway, so Brooks almost made it. If he has a great year with Houston and obviously keeps up his defensive work, he could make the list. It's just he was so efficient last year, inefficient, that I don't think he'd make a list. So with all that said, let's get to the list. Number 10. It's got to be Keldon Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs. I love Keldon Johnson. I don't know what his role is going to be now with Wembanyama on the team, but I feel like Keldon Johnson is going to be a great Robin if Wembanyama can beat Batman. But I also think they can be two great 1A, 1B options if Wembanyama takes some time to acclimate to the NBA game.
See, unpopular opinion here, I think he's the third option.
Below who?
Devin Vassell.
Oh, you're a joke. Now, okay, blocked. I'm not even going to hear that. Not even going to hear that argument. Don't want to hear it. Like Vassell, he's the third option. Not even close. Anyway, so Keldon Johnson. Then I'm going to put Mikal Bridges at 9.
Okay.
God. It's so hard with all these guys being injury prone. It's so hard, Cage.
I know.
I hate putting him at 8. I can't do that. I can't. Damn it. Okay, I gotta go Michael Porter Jr. at 8.
Oh. I
love me some MPJ.
I do love MPJ, but he's injury prone to me. That's why, and
half this list injury prone, Cajun. I literally have the ER.
He is injury prone. The other issue for me is that he's more or less so a third option or fourth option on that team.
Apparently, so is Keldon Johnson. So I don't care about your opinion. Anyway, so Keldon Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Michael Porter Jr. And now it's 7. I think it has to be Franz Wagner. I want to put him a little higher, but I think it has to be Franz Wagner now. I love Franz Wagner. I just watched a clip of Patrick Beverley on his podcast, because every NBA player has a podcast now. It's kind of funny. On his podcast, saying that Franz Wagner is not a top 60, not top 50 player, or if you think he was 52nd ranked in the NBA list, because how are the Magic bad if they have Banchero, who's top 30 on their list, and Franz Wagner is basically top 50? And I disagree with that wholeheartedly, that notion, because I don't necessarily think it's the talent of player. I think it's the mix of player. Because there's a difference between being a top 30 and 50 player versus having like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who are top 10 players, arguably, when they're healthy.
Yep.
So I disagreed with Patrick Beverley's point on, especially when it felt like he was disrespecting Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. But for me, I think Franz Wagner is fantastic. Anyway, so Johnson, Bridges, Porter, Wagner. I think Brandon Ingram's got to go here. So I think that's what, 6? Yes, I have 5 names left. So Brandon Ingram goes 6. Kawhi Leonard. I hate that, but Kawhi Leonard's got to go 5 because, again, injury proneness.
Yep.
But Kawhi Leonard's great. Then Jimmy Butler goes 4. Hate that. I can't stress enough how much I don't want to put him at 4, but I have to with the rest of the list. I can't put him any lower. I can't justify it as bad as I want to.
Hey, I love Jimmy Butler for obvious reasons.
And I hate Jimmy Butler for obvious reasons. Number 3 is going to be LeBron James, because I think age is slowly catching up to him, and the availability is a problem. And I love LeBron James. I think he's the greatest player ever. That's just my opinion. And he's so good at such an old age, but he's going to be resting games a lot more. The injuries are going to be coming more and more as he gets older. And Kevin Durant is a little younger, probably a better scorer, and
But
Kevin
he's
Durant
also
will
just
be
as injury prone.
and Durant will be the number 1 option on a better team. So I think it also may play a factor in the end. So Kevin Durant goes 2, LeBron James goes 3, and as you said, Kajan, Jason Tatum is number
I'm
1.
going to regret that number 1 ranking based off of the fact
Well,
that
as long as we can agree, Kajan, as long as we can agree, the only number 1 that we agree, I guess we agreed on Doncic too, eh?
and he's
Shea,
my
ironically. I think we agreed on every single number 1. I was gonna say the only one, but no, we agreed on every single one.
Huh.
Oh, anyway, Kajan, go ahead. Power forwards.
Power forwards. Oh man, this gets a little bit tough, and I'm gonna have
Yes,
some names.
There's a lot of really good power forwards. That's the best part. Is the shooting? The small forwards were okay. The shooting guards I had a real problem with. There's like too many good power forwards.
Are you sure about that? Because
I mean, looking at this list right now, I see a lot of really good players.
I mean, yes. But who? If you're not gonna rip my head off, you might rip my head off by this list. Number 1, I gotta go Giannis.
Oh, you trailblazer, you.
I gotta go Giannis. Number 2, Anthony Davis. Say what you want about his health, but he's a great two-way player, and defensively, he's right up there. Number 3, and this is where like all hell breaks loose. Because holy, did this end up being tougher than I thought.
What did you do? That's all I have to say, Cage. What did you do?
What did I do? I had Siakam at 3.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me with that. I have him on the list, but he's not the 3rd best power forward. Get out of here with that.
Because
Get out of here with that. Oh, that's a joke.
actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna keep it like that because I wanted to put this guy at 3, and I have him at 4. But I think he's such a demigod and unicorn already that like this ranking might look like a joke. He might be higher. Victor Wembanyama at 4.
What? What? No, come on, Kate. You're joking. That's like honestly, you're joking, right? Like you're pulling my leg.
No, I'm not.
You put him at what?
At 4.
Is this why you overdrafted him in every league you're in? He's in like 9 basketball leagues. He drafted Wembanyama like top 5 every time. Like Cage is on some copium. I don't know what's going on over there in the Through Any Castle house. Apparently them renovating made up the asbestos dust in the air just kind of go right to your brain. Cause this is awful. That is disgusting by you. I am disgusted with you, Cajun. Disgusted. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe you've done this. I can't. Oh
Okay,
my god.
the Siakam one is justified. But the way Wemby has looked in preseason, in which
okay, no. You're not gonna whitewash these people. You're not gonna whitewash the few fans we've got, Cajun, with that disgusting say of Wembanyama and say because the preseason he looked great. Because of the preseason, I can't believe you just did that. That is heinous. Now I tell you, Cage, I'm gonna make sure they make this clear. I like Wembanyama. I don't love Wembanyama. I gotta see it to believe it. When he has bad games, you're gonna get meme for that. Top 4 power forward, guys. Top 4 power forward. Can't believe you.
When he has great games,
I can't believe you.
I'll be a messiah. Number 5. Lauri Markkanen. There's like an uncomfortable silence here.
I didn't even want to react to that. I love Lauri Markkanen. He's on my list. So there's no arguing here. There's no arguing from the buyer's household.
All right.
Okay. How the hell Lauri Markkanen, who averaged, what was it? Look, 25.6 points per game last year on 50% from the field. How he is behind a rookie who hasn't played an NBA game yet. I don't know. I don't know.
Fair enough. 6. Evan Mobley. And 7, I wanted to take him off my top 10 list. I can't justify it. Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh, you suck, Cage. I
can't justify it. He is talented. Maybe not come playoff time, but he's talented. And Gobert plays the 5.
So is a dog at a dog show. What's your point? What was the point of that? He's talented. Yeah, at what? He's slow. He can't play defense. Yeah, sure he can shoot, but he's not even the best player on his own team.
When we talk about power forwards,
Cajun, I can't believe you, big homie. You're just unbelievable. Unbelievable, Cajun. Unbelievable.
Number 8. Paolo Banchero.
He made my list. I can't argue that. Made my list.
And 9 and 10 gets a little tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Fine. My power forward list is really good. Your power forward list is a joke. So you continue. No wonder you were talking about how your power forward list was because it's a joke. But anyway, continue. Go ahead, Cade. Go ahead. Finish up. Go ahead. You got the floor, Cade. You got the floor.
Man. Honestly, 9, because he played such a big role on that Denver team, I have Aaron Gordon.
I've thought about it.
And then 10.
Okay, now I have to ask a very important question, Cajun. Is Domantas Sabonis a center for you?
No. He's not. He's a 5.
So he is a center. Okay, that's what I said. He's a center. Okay. Because I was going to say, on my list, he's listed as a power forward. So he's in my power forward ranking.
He's a center for me.
Okay, then I might move him just because of you. So anyway, I might move Domantas Sabonis, but I was gonna get very upset. I was gonna get very upset. Okay, continue.
Oh no! Oh no! He he's. I can kind of spoil this right now. I can kind of spoil it at this point. To me, he's third after Jokic and Embiid. Hey, that's the issue you had. If that's the main issue you had, I'm like, he wasn't a power forward to me. He's a
Can't really argue that he's probably the third best center in the league. But I still can't believe you actually put Wembanyama on not on the list, but 4. Like, what are you, ESPN? Like, what the hell is this, TNT?
I mean,
We don't know rights. We aren't showing no games. The hell? Really, I gotta figure when the Spurs play now. We gotta do the Spurs game. We gotta watch Wembanyama's first game. This is
they're playing
ridiculous.
Dallas and they don't have a big.
Huh?
They're playing the Mavs and they don't have a big.
Like that matters in this league. Nobody's got a big. They don't play like bigs anymore. Anyway, who's number 10?
I tried so hard not to justify him being out of this rankings. But talent-wise, if he's healthy, it's just like if he's healthy.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Zion.
Yeah, I just put him on the list. Yeah, I agree with the exact same logic. As if he is available, he is a freak. It's just the problem is he's never available. He's just never available.
So there you have it. The abomination that is my power forward rankings according to Spencer Byers.
Whatever that is, it is whatever that is. Whatever that happens to be, whatever you want to call that. I call that the garbage list. That was in my garbage this week, Cage, and it was like, Giannis, okay, I probably shouldn't have went in the garbage. And then it was that makes sense. Laurie Markkinen, Pascal Siakam, and then you got Victor Wembanyama. What?
Well, I had
throw that right in the trash compactor. My God.
Well, I had 82.
My God. Like, no wonder you overdrafted him in every single league, you absolute melon. Like, I can't believe you right now. Like, I genuinely, I'm so confused at how you put Wembanyama 4. Because now he's not on my list. Because of you, he's not on the list. He might have made a list. You put him at 6 or 8 or, it was a reasonable ranking. But 4? The 4th best power forward never played in the NBA before? What are you, Noah Lyles? Hell's going on here?
Yes.
Hell is going on here. Anyway, so now my list. And 10. Make sure I have the right number of names. I think I do. 1, 2. I do have 10. Perfect. Number 10, I agree with you, Zion Williamson. Availability is a massive problem, but when he is available, he's a freak. So he gets the number 10 spot. Number 9, Aaron Gordon, champion with the Nuggets, is like the 4th option on that team, 3rd or 4th option, depending on it with York or MPJ. But the reason why the Nuggets won the championship this year is because Aaron Gordon's great, MPJ's great, Jamal Murray's great, and obviously Joker is great. Like, you and I have just ranked. I've ranked 4 of their 5 starters. I'm gonna get to the 5th or 4th starter in Jokic in the top 5 or top 10 of their positions. So that's why they won the championship, guys. It's not just because Joker's really good. It's because the supporting cast is really good too.
And
so anyway,
I want to say why Aaron Gordon's such an underrated part of that team. He had to guard the best scorers on that team. He had to guard the opposing scorers.
Yeah, somebody's gonna play defense in that team.
LeBron, Jimmy Butler,
and did a really good job.
Towns at times. I don't think people realize how good this man is. He could average 20 if he wanted to, but the fact that he plays his role and he plays his role perfectly without any sort of ego thing
and complaining and whining and moaning,
which a lot of these players in the NBA do.
Case in point, James Harden.
In case in point, almost every superstar in the NBA.
Yeah, not just about. You're right. I just want to bully James Harden. Anyway, so Zion, Aaron Gordon, 10 and 9, 8 Banchero. Paulo makes the list. Not as high as you. Number 7, Cage.
Paulo, we have Paulo, Aaron Gordon, and Zion Williamson in that exact same order.
Oh, do we? Well, I know you not. I don't know you. I know you don't have this guy on the list. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr.,
To me, he's a center.
the defensive player of the year. He's in my power forward ranking, so he's in the power forward. I moved Sabonis, so I'm keeping Triple J. So Jaren Jackson Jr. makes it at number, I think that's 6. No, I think that's 7. Williamson, Gordon, Paolo, Triple J. Next, Evan Mobley.
Mobley 6. Okay. We have him as the same.
Now you're gonna hate number 5. But as I hate your number 4, and my number 5 is way more justified than your number 4. And how you omitted him from your list, I don't know. Julius Randle, number 5.
Randall's
25 points per game. Led the Knicks to the second round. Julius Randle is on the list. Unlike Victor Wembanyama.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest here. He wasn't on my mind. And
I've gathered.
Maybe it's because I'm
You
not a
don't
fan of him.
You don't like him. I knew once you got by Wemby, he wasn't making the list. Anyway, I think Siakam goes 4. Because the minutes he plays and the role he plays with the Raptors. I don't know if he'll play that role with any other team, but I think Siakam for the Raptors, he's the 4th best power forward.
And I think role is why I had him as 3.
Number 3 for me is the most shocking player last season. 39% from 3-point range is almost a 7-footer. I think he might be 7 feet. Lauri Markkanen, number 3, best power forward in the league.
The only reason why I have him as 5 is that he's only done it for 1 season.
And when he does it again, Cajun's going to look great having him at number 3. Unlike your Wembanyama pick at 4. Jesus. Anyway. Anthony Davis, obviously number 2. And number 1. People continue to say the best player in the world. I say number 3 best player in the world, depending on where Tatum falls in that list. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is number 1. So go ahead, Cajun. Who are your centers?
Well, I don't know if you can argue with 1, 2, and 3 here.
Well, sadly, Cajun, I want to argue Embiid, but I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can argue Embiid any farther down. Reigning MVP. Average 33 a night.
Well, 1, let's just get it out of the way. The best player in the league right now, no questions asked, Nikola Jokic. 2, the reigning MVP, Joel Embiid. 3, Domantas Sabonis. I have Sabonis 3. I never really considered him as a power forward. I had him as a center because that's what he played in Sacramento, and you could argue had it not been for Miles Turner in Indiana, that's what he would have played that in Indiana as well. Now 4, and this gets a little bit dicey because
You can easily say the center position past Sabonis is the weakest position in the league.
Yeah.
Easily the weakest.
But because I didn't have him on the power forward ranking, and the only reason why I did not have him on the power forward rankings is because Steven Adams is out for the year. So by default, he is going to be the 5 because I don't think Tillman Sr. or Aldama, with also Brandon Clark out, I don't think you could consider them as like the 5 in this situation. But 4, I have Jaren Jackson Jr. Only because Steven Adams is out. Any other year, he would have been a 4. But I think that with the situation that's in Memphis right now, I think he'd be 4. I think he'd be at the 5. Now 5, you might like this, you might not. Kristaps Porzingis.
You're damn right, Cajun. You're damn right.
Now, does he have his injury issues? Yes. Was he relatively healthy last season? Yes. And when he was healthy last season, did he play up to his potential and have a great season? Yes. So he's at 5 for me. And honestly, this is where things get dicey. Now 6, I have Miles Turner. Because I'm looking, huh? Spencer,
That
what you
wasn't
say?
me. That wasn't me. That wasn't someone in your background. That definitely wasn't me.
6 is Miles Turner. I'm going through this list as I'm deleting like some of these names I already put there. Sabonis, Miles Turner out of that list. Out of these 7 names that I have right now, honestly, he's always underrated, but he's a great offensive option and can pass out of the post, like rebound, like he stuffs the stat sheet a little bit, albeit not like Domantas Sabonis, but Nikola Vucevic. I think this guy's going to have a great role now that like he's now in Portland. DeAndre Ayton. Nine. He kind of had a letdown year. He kind of had like a down year last year, but I think he's still a solid big and one of the more consistent ones. Jared Allen. And 10.
And 10.
Can I tell you the 3 names that I'm kind of like torn?
Go ahead, Cage.
Actually, 2.
2.
No, 3.
3.
Şengün,
Yep.
Gobert, Walker
Nope.
Kessler.
Oh, you're playing on my heartstrings. Kessler didn't make my list, Cage, but he's damn close. And he could make the list this year because I love me some Walker Kessler.
So Gobert's out of that
Yeah,
because
Gobert's a bum.
to me it's between Şengün and Kessler. I think as much as I could be wrong here, I think the amount of depth that the Rockets have kind of hurts Şengün's case for now. So I'm going to go Walker Kessler at 10.
What a pick. So what's your list?
Jokic, Embiid, Sabonis, Jaren Jackson Jr.,
Okay.
Kristaps Porzingis, Miles Turner at 6, Vucevic at 7, Ayton at 8, Jared Allen at 9, and Kessler at 10.
I can't believe you admitted one of your favorite players. You left him off the list. He's on my list. You left him off the list. You know, openly, I'm going to have at least one different because you have Triple J as a center, Item as a power forward. Because he's going to be a center this year. He's played center, but he played power forward last year. Was Defensive Player of the Year as a power forward last year. So regardless, it doesn't really matter. We both have them in our rankings. So we have one player different. So my number 10 is Anthony Şengün. For everything that you've said, even though I think he's going to have that limited role with Houston, he is a good basketball player, and he could have a very good season, even with the amount of mouths to feed in Houston.
If there's one guy on my top 10 that I would take out, more likely is Jared Allen.
I agree with you. Allen didn't make my list. I thought about it, and again, I love Walker Kessler.
Is there a way I can change this now?
I mean, you can change it. I'll finish my list, and you can reorder if you want. But my number 9 is Jonas Valanciunas, or as Charles Barkley once said, Valanciunas. So Valanciunas makes it at number 9. I do really like Jonas. I think he's a really good player. I think it sucks he plays in New Orleans, but I do see him as a very valuable player to that team.
I think that's the issue. But I think that's the issue why I don't have him in my top 10. He's in New Orleans.
Yeah, exactly. So number 8. Now I'm kind of stuck between a bunch of guys that I think are really good, but do not kind of compare. They're all different players. I think Brook Lopez has got to go 8. Brook Lopez, number 8.
I thought of him.
You love Brook Lopez. I can't believe you didn't make the list, Cage. Can't believe you didn't make the list. Number
I thought-
7.
I thought of him, but he, like the ones that I have right now, because by the way, Jared
By the
Allen's
way.
off the list. 9 is Kessler. 10 is Şengün.
Okay. Poor Jared Allen from number 8 to off the list. God, he
From
dropped
9 to
he
off the
dropped hard.
list.
Yeah, number 9 off the list. He dropped like a stone.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, Sengun for me, Valanciunas, Brook Lopez. Then number 7, Bam Adebayo. Love me some
I'm
Bam
such an
Adebayo.
idiot.
How
Why did I
how you
not-
missed Bam Adebayo, I don't know, Cage. Cage, your center list is whack. It's almost as whack as your power forward list, but this center
Oh.
list is whack.
Well, okay, that's a brain fart on my end.
So Cajun's got to reorder his center list again. So scratch that for the second time. Well, I'm gonna finish first, Cage. Before you tell me again, I'm gonna finish just in case you miss anybody else. So Sengun, Valanciunas, Lopez, Bam Adebayo, then DeAndre Ayton, then Miles Turner. So Sengun 10, Valanciunas 9, Brook Lopez 8, Bam Adebayo 7, Ayton 6, Miles Turner 5, Kristaps Porzingis 4, and then the same top 3 you had, Cajun. 3 is DeMontis Sabonis, 2 is Mr. reigning MVP, Joel Embiid, and number 1 is the best player in all of basketball, the best player on earth, Nikola Jokic.
Oh man, how did Bam Adebayo slip through my head?
I don't know how you missed Bam. I gotta be honest here. I was kind of.
I thought
That's why I kept replaying the names in my list. Cause like you don't have Lopez, you don't have Bam. I was like confused at your list for a minute, even though you had Triple J. And then Gobert was in like the contention. Rudy Gobert. Huh?
See, I thought of Bam, but then when you said Bam, and then I looked at my list, I'm like, I don't have Bam. I'm like, well, that got to change now.
Like how is Vucevic? Like Nick Vucevic's not on my list. He had a horrible year last year. I can't believe you. Okay, it's okay. Have you fixed your center list yet? Or are you still messing it up?
I'm still messing up right now.
Okay,
because-
well, I'm gonna get rid of mine because actually, you know what? I am gonna save it just in case I want it later. So my list has now been saved. Oh, I guess I should. Probably should name it something. So we
Okay,
will
so
now
I have-
quickly try to do our rankings of the season. This episode's probably gonna be about 2 hours long now because we've got about an hour just on player profiles.
Fair enough. Go on.
So you got it fixed yet?
I think I do.
Okay. Well, let's hear it, Cajun. What is the new position rankings for Cajun Theoretini Castle?
Oh boy, how did I forget Bam?
For the second time for V3. This is the V3 list.
The version 3 version, the third version, because for some sort of reason,
Cajun
this
got
one's gonna
lost in
be-
the banana boat.
yeah, pretty much. Because how the hell did Bam Adebayo slip through my head? I have no idea. But 10 is Şengün, Kessler's at 9. Vooch is now off of my list because
He's a bum. It's okay. He's a bum. Continue.
Kessler and Şengün are going to get better. Vucevic is who he is.
Exactly. And he had his worst year last year. Anyway, continue.
8 is Ayton.
Yep.
7 is Miles Turner.
Okay.
6 is Kristaps Porzingis.
I don't like that.
5 is Bam Adebayo. 4 is Jaren Jackson Jr.
Holy jeez, I almost cussed there. You put Jared Jackson at 4? I love Triple J, but he got better than Kristaps.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Gotta give him the
You
benefit
have
of the
it, big
doubt.
dog. I'm not gonna argue with you. Big
And
dog.
plus a bigger role in Memphis now than Porzingis will have in Boston. That's also the other fact.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
And then 1, 2, 3 doesn't change. Jokic at 1, Embiid at 2, Sabonis at 3.
Yeah. So basically, Cajun had to rework his entire list because Cajun just decided to keep off Bam Adebayo.
No.
Which
I
is
didn't
good enough.
decide to keep off Bam Adebayo. I forgot
You
about it.
Cajun
apologies,
Cajun just absolutely, ruining his power forward and center list. So Cajun, you basically what I understand, your point guard list was pretty good. We've gotten worse as the shows went on with you. Your list got progressively worse, peaking with the power forwards, might I add. And then the just complete admittance that Bam Adebayo's not a top 10 center by you. I can't believe that. Can't believe it, Cage.
No.
Can't believe
it. He literally just slipped my mind. Like I thought I had Bam in there, and then when you said Bam Adebayo, I'm like, Oh damn! I didn't
Wait
even
a
have.
second.
I was like, it's just one of those things where you like mindlessly have it, like have him in your mind, and then he's not there. I'm like, wait, what? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you were thinking about when you were talking about the power forward list, I had him in my mind, but for some reason it just never computed.
Just never got on the mind, the thought never got on paper.
Apologies, Bam. You're at 5.
Well, it's okay. Cat doesn't make any of my list because Cat's a bum. Anyway, so Cage, we're not gonna do our season rankings because hopefully we don't take an hour doing this because then this episode will be about 3 hours and no one's gonna listen to it. So that works. So
Fair enough.
Cage, who do you have a rankings for the East or do you want to? Are you thinking? Because I'm starting mine right now and I've basically got it kind of set in my mind. It's more just like once you get past 5, it's kind of close for everybody.
You start off your list.
Okay, well now I gotta speed up, Cage, and I really appreciate that. Thanks. So obviously Milwaukee is number 1 for obvious reasons. Lillard and Giannis are probably going to be an unstoppable duo, and I don't know who's going to stop them.
Fair enough.
Celtics number 2. I again do think the Celtics and Bucks are close. I think Drew Holiday and Porzingis as a duo compared to what the Bucks added, and then Giannis versus Tatum plus the Celtics got Brown. So those two teams are gonna be very close again. If they change a little bit, like I think that's a fair assumption, but like those two teams are easily gonna be the best 2 teams in the East. Easily the best 2 teams in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I got Cleveland. Cleveland. I got the Cavs going number 3 seed. I love Cleveland's team. Their playoff run notwithstanding, I think they're a good enough team. I think they're going to improve and move up from 4 to 3.
Yep.
Number 4 where it gets interesting for me. Because I don't like Brooklyn, really. I don't like Philadelphia at all. You know what, kids? You know what? I'm going to do a thing. And it's not going to be a popular thing, but I'm going to do a thing. It's going to be the New York Knickerbockers at number 4.
To be honest, I have the Knicks at 4.
Of course you do. See, just copying my answers. This is ridiculous. I feel like the smart math kid.
I literally was writing typing this up.
Well, I got the Knicks at number 4 because I think Jalen Brunson will continue to improve. Julius Randle's great. If Barrett can continue his play from the World Cup, the Knicks are going to be a good basketball team this year. Number 5, I think I got to put Philadelphia. So 76ers go at number 5 in the conference. So they're going to play against the Knicks in the first round in New York at the Garden, which is going to be a rough series. Taking on Miami in the first round. Is it Brooklyn? I mean, no, it's not. No, it's not. I can put him here. I can justify putting him here, Cage. It is Indiana. Indiana will be facing against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round, which is a horrible game for Cleveland. They don't get any easy playoff games here in the East. As much as people dog on the East not being as good as the West, might I add. So the Pacers getting on the 6th seed. The 7th seed will be the Nets, which means they're technically in the play-in.
Okay.
The 8th seed, I think it's going to be the Heat again. Actually, you know what? I'm going to flip that. Heat 7, Nets 8. So the Heat are going to be 7. The Nets are going to be 8. Then number 9. Oh, Lord. I got to go Atlanta. I got to go Hawks there. Number 10, though, I'm gonna change the script. Number 10 in the last play-in team, who I think will win their play-in game and beat the Hawks. I wanted to put them above them, but I can't justify it. Orlando. I like the Magic. Unlike that knucklehead, Patrick Beverly, I like the Magic. Magic number 10. They make the last play-in spot. And then 11 down, I think the Raptors just miss out. I think they start making trades because they're going to suck. They're probably going to be better than 11th, I'll be honest. I probably am lower ranking them, but they were a 9 seed last year, and they lost their point guard. They lost some pieces. They lost their head coach. We'll see what they look like. Number 12. I'm going to put Detroit. The Pistons are going to get better. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I want to put them near the playoffs closer, but I can't justify it. 13, Cage. I got the Wizards, the Hornets, and the Bulls. The Bulls are going to go there. I think I put the Bulls a little too low, but I hate the Bulls. The Bulls suck. The Bulls are so bad.
You have the Bulls there?
The Bulls suck. The Bulls suck, Cage. The Bulls are garbage. Anyway, the Hornets are going to go the 14th seed. And the 15th seed is going to be the Washington Wizards because they lost their best player. Even though I love Jordan Poole, the Wizards suck.
Okay. All right, my list, quickly. You had Bucks at 1. I got Celtics 1.
Woo! Fine, Cage, I'm switching my list up. Celtics 1, Bucks 2. I agree with you. I agree. You're right. Well, how could I be so foolish, Cajun? Celtics 1, Bucks 2. You're right.
I guess 1 to 4 is correct with is like
Those are the right teams.
Yep. Celtics, Bucks, Cavs, Knicks.
I got the Heat 5.
Oh my lord.
And hear me out here. I think the Heat are going to take the regular season seriously now.
Oh, bull. Garbage. They haven't. They've been not. They've been to the finals 2 years in the last, 2 times in the last 4 years. They've been playing teams both times. Joke, Cage. They're not going to be a good basketball team. They're going to suck in the regular season. They're going to make the play-in, and they're going to make the playoffs again.
Weren't they the 1 seed 2 years ago?
Are they?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember that. That didn't happen.
Exactly.
That's fake news.
I don't think the play-in situation is going to happen for the Heat. I think they're going to make it. They're going to just make it like out of it. Now 6, and I really want to put the Pacers in here so bad over the Sixers. But
Oh, you got the Sixers at. Oh my god.
I have the Sixers at 6, and I really wanted to put them in the play-in situation. I really did because
But they have Joel Embiid, dog. There's no way they're gonna be that bad, even without James Harden.
They haven't beat that's the deciding factor for me. As much as all the drama from Harden, they're gonna deal with that. I couldn't justify them putting them in the play-in situation. Now, I have Pacers 7th. Maybe I wouldn't say this is a homer pick because if this was a homer pick, I'd have this team a whole lot higher.
Let me
But
guess.
Raps 8th.
Of course.
I think you're going to see a more cohesive team.
You better hope so.
And I think Scotty Barnes is going to be put in a position to succeed.
And that's what they all say.
Well, the problem was they did play selfish last year. And I don't think that's going to be the case this year. Now 9, I got the Hawks. And as much as I wanted to put this team in the play-in picture so bad, I think the Nets just have more talent. So I got Nets, and just outside, Magic 11, Pistons 12th, Bulls 13th, Hornets 14th, 15th Wizards.
We agreed on the Bulls. We literally agreed. We literally agreed from Pistons down. Pistons 12, Bulls 13, Hornets 14, Wizards 15.
I thought you were gonna put the Bulls at 15.
No, they're not gonna be that bad. They have Levine and
That's what I thought.
DeFrozen
Like,
still. They aren't gonna be that bad, but they're gonna suck. They're gonna be bad.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be a good basketball team. They're gonna be poo poo.
Yep.
They're gonna be kind of dog, and I'm kind of here for it. By the way, make sure I say that. I'm kind of here for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta be honest here, Cage. I don't know who to put first in the West.
I thought about this, but I kind of flip-flopped on this.
I don't know who to put. I don't know. I want to put the Nuggets there, but like, are they actually going to be the best team in the West again? Memphis is missing Ja for the first 25 games. I think that's really going to hurt them. I want to put Sacramento, but they didn't get that much better. So I guess, as much as it pains me to say, I think it's got to be Phoenix. Like I think it's got to be the Suns number 1. Then number 2, I think it's got to be the Nuggets.
Yep, we both have 1 and 2 on the same page.
Well, then I think we're gonna disagree on 3 because I think Sacramento stays the same.
Oh,
Sacramento number 3, number 4. I'm gonna go Golden State.
Oh,
I think Golden State goes number 4. Then number 5, I'm gonna have the Grizzlies, who dropped like a stone. But again, I think this Western Conference is going to be a absolute bloodbath. 6. I think 6 has got to be the Lakers. Because barring Clippers' health, I don't trust them. Oh, God, where are the Thunder going to go, though? Oh, Christ.
This is where it gets tough.
Okay, scratch that. Thunder 5, Grizzlies 6. The Grizzlies suck. Never mind. I lied. Cajun. I finna lied. That's my bad. I didn't mean to lie. So, the Thunder at the 5 spot. They'll play Golden State in the first round, which would be a great series, by the way. Grizzlies play Sacramento in the first round. That'd be a great series, by the way. The Nuggets would get one of the play-in teams. So I think it's going to be Los Angeles again. That would be the Lakers, of the Lakers variety. I then think the Clippers will get the 8 seed. So that'll be a first-round matchup at Crypto / at what would they call it again? Staples.
Mm-hmm.
So Lakers, Clippers in the play-in. The 9th team in the play-in. Oh Lord, so I think I got basically everybody. Jesus, I don't want to put them in so bad, Cage. I don't want to put them in. I think I have to though.
What?
I think the Jazz get that much better. I don't like the lower. Oh God, where the Mavs gonna go? Okay, never mind, Cage. The Clippers are gonna go 9. The Mavs are gonna go 8. I can't put the Mavs any lower than 8, even though I don't know what the duo of Doncic and Luke is gonna look like. I gotta put him above the injury-prone Clippers. Then number 10, I gotta put. I don't want to put Minnesota in so bad, but I love Anthony Edwards. And can I justify putting Utah over them? I think the answer to that, Cajun, is no. So I think the Timberwolves get the 10 seed, but they get blown out in the 9 versus 10 game. So Minnesota make it to the playoffs, but just barely, and then they get blown out in their one playoff game they get, and somebody breaks their hand again.
What about the Pelicans?
I think they're so hurt. I don't think they'll make it. I do love the Pelicans, though. I'm gonna put them at 11. And then at 12, I'm going to put the Jazz. I wanted to put them in the playoffs, but I just couldn't justify it. 13 is going to be San Antonio. They're going to have spurts. They're going to be great at certain times, but they're going to be bad at certain times because of how young they're going to look with Wembanyama. I think the Rockets are going to stay at the 14 spot because until they prove to me they can win with Udoka and the new guys they brought in, I don't trust them. And then I think Portland's going to be last. Even though I love Scoot and I love Anthony Simons, I just don't know what they're going to be without Lillard, to be honest. But like this Western Conference is going to be really good.
This list is going to be wrong.
As long as you're admitting that now. I think my list could be right. I think yours is going to be wrong. But anyway, you continue. Go ahead.
Well, Suns, Nuggets, 1 and 2.
Yep, we agree.
Oh, this gets dicey. This gets very, very dicey.
So
I got Lakers, Warriors, Clippers.
Whoa. You put the Lakers at the 3 seed?
See, chemistry matters. And I think having those guys back.
Availability matters.
Huh?
Availability matters. What's going on here?
Yeah, so it matters with all these teams at this point. And I think now I have the Kings 6th, and here's why. They were 3rd in the West, but they were also the healthiest team by far. You have to believe that some injury regression is going to happen to Sacramento. And if anything slight happens, I think they drop. But I don't think they drop out all the way into the play-in situation, but they are going to drop.
Okay, so wait, your Suns, Nuggets, Lakers.
Because I think they're going to be playing together. They're not really changing much.
But who's going next? So it's Lakers and who's 4?
Warriors.
Okay.
Clippers, because I think they just have too much talent.
Oh, God help me. Okay, so you got Clippers 5, and the finish off the Sacramento gets the 6 seed.
Sacramento gets the 6 seed.
Oh, unlucky for them. And then who do you got in the play-in? Who's your 4 play-in teams?
Thunder's at 7.
Okay.
Grizzlies.
Okay. You think they drop you think they drop even farther than I do?
Because every other team right now, those 7 teams that I just listed are better.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying you made them drop lower. I disagree with the Lakers, though, I guess I should say, and the Clippers. But anyway, continue. So you got Grizzlies,
Mavericks,
Mavs.
T-Wolves, 10, and then Pelicans, Jazz. I have Rockets over the Spurs because I do think they added a lot more talent. Spurs and then Trailblazers.
So we basically agree on the teams not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
We basically agree on the Pelicans, Jazz, Spurs, Rockets, and Trailblazers not being there, but they're going to be close. I like the Pelicans especially, implying against Zion's healthy, and you can go on the list of guys that need to be healthy for them to be playoff team. But there is a world where the Pelicans make the playoffs.
Yeah.
At least to play in for sure.
They could make the playoffs if things go right and Ingram and Zion are healthy.
And they play well together because we really haven't seen them play together.
Well, honestly, they did. They did for like a stretch of last season. They were actually first in the West until Zion got hurt. And then the minute Zion got hurt, the bottom just fell out. Literally.
Well, that's our season ranking, so we'll see how we do. I'm going to keep the Bucks at 1, though. I was joking, saying putting the Celtics at number 1. I was joking.
Were you?
I was. I'm going to put the Bucks at number 1. I can't switch it now. I'm not you, Cage. I'm not going to admit that I made a mistake. Okay, I didn't make no mistake. I put my teams in my order for my reasons. I think Lillard and Giannis are going to play great together. They have a rookie head coach. He's going to want to win the regular season. I don't think Big Joe Mazzulla is really going to care with the regular season with his new core. He's going to figure out who the best lineup is, who his best bench players are with Pritchard and etc. So I think the Celtics are going to do a lot more experimenting than the Bucks do, and that's what's going to put them at number 1, just over the Celtics. Again, very close.
I think there's one thing that you're forgetting about the Bucks. First-year head coach, different defensive schemes.
But that's what I mean. I think because they have a new head coach, he's going to want to win in the regular season. Unlike Joe Mazzulla, who knows it doesn't really matter. They're going to be a top 3 team regardless. So let's tinker. Let's figure out who we have as the best players in each position, who the bench players are, and then, when you get to game 50 or 60, that's when the Celtics go on that big winning streak again like they did with Udoka, and everything kind of irons itself out for Boston. That's what I expect from this Boston team. We will talk about that in a little bit as we finally are done our long-winded predictions and position rankings.
Some of these are meme based on my end, but
so Cage, I will just let you do the injury report. So Cage, Steven Adams out for the year.
Yep.
Jared Allen and Doncic are questionable for opening night. Draymond Green, who I thought about putting in my power forwards list, might I add, he's probable to play, but he's also been injured. And obviously James Harden, as I mentioned off the top, he missed practice on Monday today. He missed practice today, so he is unclear if he'll be playing in the first game, the season opener for the Sixers. And if that continues, does he sit out the season? Does he sit out half it and get traded? Like, James Harden's situation right now is really plaguing what people can say about Philadelphia, including you and I. Yeah. So, Cage, is there any injury in particular you want to talk about before we continue to move the show?
Well, we mentioned Luka, right?
We did.
He's questionable. Bojan Bogdanovic of the Pistons, he's out, still dealing with a calf injury. Tari Eason of the Rockets, he's out till mid-November. Jared Vanderbilt of the Lakers, he's leaning towards not playing. They've already named their starting small forwards. It's Taurean Prince. Obviously, Adams out for the season. Caleb Martin, arguably Spencer's most hated player at this point. Questionable with a knee injury. That bum also dropped 25 and eliminated the Celtics out of the playoffs.
And then he shot 1 for 13 the next night. So I don't even want to hear that. Don't even want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
Man, shot well when it mattered. Obviously with Harden. And I want to say, Barnes had that foot sprain, but he says he's fine. His coach, Darko Rajakovic, says he's fine. So, and he's not in a brace. So, He should be able to play. Kuzma's questionable, but with a calf contusion, but all signs are pointing that he might play in their home opener. So yeah. So aside from the ones that we did mention, it was just Bogdanovich is now out, and Booker and Beal are probable. Booker with a toe injury and Beal with dealing with some back spasms. And then Barnes and Kuzma are questionable. Barnes with a foot sprain, but he says he's fine. And Kuzma with a calf contusion, but all signs are pointing to him playing for the home open, playing in the season opener.
So with all that, with all the injuries that are going into the NBA season, because of course they are, the NBA is not an 82-game season. Adam Silver, you know it. You want to talk about, Cajun, the change in the game, or the game that continues to evolve in the NBA with, the centers and the big men that started shooting. I'd say Dirk Nowitzki, the German. He probably started that movement of bigs who can really shoot jumpers, can really pull up from range.
Yep.
And then it got spearheaded by other guys who came into the league that were able to do that at bigger sizes, which has now gone into the point where you have guys like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, I think some other guys that are just massive who can shoot from anywhere. But they're really it in my top of my head. Jason Tatum, you could say that's like 6'7", 6'8".
Yep.
And that's been even spearheaded farther by guys getting even bigger. So Kevin Durant forever has been listed at like 6'10", 6'11". Everyone thinks he's 7 feet tall. LeBron James is like 6'8", or is he a little taller than that? 6'9", 6'10". LeBron.
I think he's 6'8".
I think he's 6'8" too, but I can't really remember. Jason Tatum's around that as well. They're not really bigs, they're threes. Durant plays the 3 and the 4, but he's not really a big. Now we've got guys like Chet Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama, who are 7'4" and 7'2" respectively. 7'4" Wembanyama, 7'2" Chet Holmgren, who can shoot, can dribble, can pass, can rebound, can rim protect, can do everything that a center can do, but they also can shoot threes and ball handle and do all the things a point guard can do, kind of thing.
Yep.
So I guess, Cage, do you think this will be the archetype, or do you think these guys are just special? And I don't mean that as in like guys can't come in with this skill set and just be special. Again, I'm just thinking, is this going to become more of a trend, do you think? Or is this just going to be a guy? These are 2 guys that are special. We just happen to get them at the same time.
I think it's more or less so. I think it's more so these 2 guys are special.
And we just got them at the same time.
And we just got them at the same time.
Rookie years, by the way. I'm going to make sure I mention this. Chet Holmgren was drafted last year, but he got hurt with a Liz Frank injury, which was a foot injury. And he was out all last year. The Oklahoma City Thunder thought they were going to suck, sat him. They actually made the play-in. He didn't play all season last year. So his rookie season will go against Victor Wembanyama's first season. So this might be the first time in a while, Cade, we have a really competitive Rookie of the Year race.
Yep. Yeah, like it kind of was a little bit competitive at the end there between Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams made a charge there, but no doubt, like throughout the year, like the consensus favorite was Paulo Banchero. It was close 2 years ago between Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley. That's about as close as it, like that was a little bit close. But yeah, you're picking hairs out at this point. You know how I feel about Wemby. He might be your most hated player by the time the season ends, but with the way I sing his praises. Maybe.
I don't think he'll be that hated. I just think you way overrated him in our position rankings. I think you pumped his tires a little too much.
But
in my opinion, you pumped them a little too much.
That is warranted. That is warranted. But some of the things that I honestly thought like heading into the season before he got when he got drafted, I'm like, okay, believe it or not, I was on the same wavelength as you. I'm like, okay, I gotta see this come preseason time. because he kind of did struggle in his summer league debut, but figured it out in his second game. But some of the things that he did on the floor were not, I literally was like, my jaw dropped. I'm like, this guy is not human. I'm convinced this guy is an alien. Like, blocking shots with such ease, handling the ball like a guard, nutmegging Reggie Bullock on the break, playing on the perimeter, playing in the low block, which I think he does have to. And that's the thing. Do you really want to like build up strength, build up bulk if you're Wemby? Because it might take away from what his play style is. I think eventually down the line, once you get into your 30s, he might have to do that. But there's like, I guess the reason why I've been high on him is like he's done things that you don't really see other people in the NBA do. Like you wouldn't think any big in the NBA would do that. And I guess that's why I'm so high on him, because I think the only thing that really could hold him back is his health. And I think this is the part that people kind of like, I don't know if people really like underrate here. He's on a Spurs organization that drafted and developed David Robinson and Tim Duncan under Greg Popovich. Based off of that history alone, he is going to be special. Like a demigod under what is arguably like the best run organization in decades in the Spurs. A match made in heaven. Now with Holmgren.
But that's not to say Holmgren is no slouch. The fact, like, Holmgren has amazed me in the sense that a Liz Frank injury is a tricky injury to come back from. And he's hit the ground running, preseason wise, defense, and I think he's looked so special defensively. And with the fact that he can handle the ball, finish around the rim, shoot threes. These two are going to be 1 and 2 in the league for a long time in terms of bigs once Jokic retires. As you hear my dog in the background.
Even they think you're capping. Anyway, continue.
With what? Wemby?
How much you're slobbering over Embiid? Again, I think he's going to be a great player. I think he has an amazing amount of potential that very few players, maybe not a player ever, has had that amount of potential he has. And maybe that is true.
I literally I think that first quarter against Golden State just made my jaw drop.
But I got to see it. I can't say preseason this and summer league that. No. I got to see it. I want to see him do it in the NBA against LeBron James, against Kevin Durant, against, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I want to see it night in, night out. Once he does it, then I'll be right with you, Cage. But I got to see it. You're acting like you've already seen it. And maybe the preseason games I've sold you. I don't watch preseason of any league because preseason don't matter. I watch regular season. That's actually even half a lie there. I don't really watch regular season either. But I watch regular season way more likely than I watch, preseason. So if Wemby can do all of these things against NBA quality opponents, then I'll be right with you. But I got to see it first. Chet Holmgren, I'm a little more for because I've seen him do it at the college level, which I respect a little more than the French league. I know it's professional versus college, but I just feel like, again, just for me, I prefer college ball to NBA ball anyway. But again, I'm also not saying Chet Holmgren's going to be a star right off the hop. I think Chet Holmgren's going to be a good player, and I think he could be an amazing player. I think he could be a top 10 player in the league type of guy if he's healthy and, permitting what Oklahoma City does in their offense with Shea as well as some other really good young players, Giddey, as we mentioned, Lou Dort, of course. So Chet Holmgren's more role for me with Oklahoma City than Wemby is, because Wemby's the de facto star of that team. No offense to Keldon Johnson, who I love. But I got to see it to believe what everyone's telling me. So I want Embiid to prove to me that he's the best player. That he is who he is.
And I think what really like makes me convinced is that he's in a good organization to be put in that position to succeed, based off of the history of bigs that they've drafted in Tim Duncan and David Robinson. I think that's also the biggest factor, because if he got drafted with someone like Minnesota, then there's questions. Then there's legitimate questions like how's his role going to be handled? What does he play? But I think with a team that's as organized, like organization wise, they're so structured in San Antonio that was already convincing as it is, and then seeing him play for stretches in which he just utterly dominated on both sides of the floor. I think all those combining factors like have me convinced. But I think, but at the end of it all, I think you could very, very well see these two go be 1 and 2 in the center ranking. But that's just me.
And I don't know if Wembanyama's going to play point guard his whole career. I don't know that either, which is more my worry for Wemby. Because again, if these guys can ball handle the way they can, will they actually be playing center or more of a point forward? And then who do they guard? And it becomes a whole thing, Cage. Whole thing. So now that I think you're done talking about the game changers, the league, the league changers and Holmgren and Wembanyama and whoever may follow them in the coming years.
Yep.
What do you expect realistically from the Raptors? I know you put them in the playoffs. I put them just outside of the playoffs. What do you realistically expect from the Toronto Raptors this season?
I think that's realistically what I expect them to be in the play-in. I don't even know if they take a play off. Wait. Let me see this. Yeah, I have them as a playoff team. The only reason why I say they are a playoff team, and look, my list has the Celtics and Raptors in the first round, so if that happens, that'll be interesting. I think for the Raptors, I think that this year is going to be a better season than last year. Now, you could say they lost Fred VanVleet and they lost Nick Nurse, but there were a ton of problems last year offensively with that team. It's not enough ball movement. Roles weren't in question. Minutes distribution was also a big issue. Gary Trent Jr.'s role was like a little bit like wonky. Guys were hurt too. But they sneakily have a lot of depth. Obviously, they added the best player in the world, according to Noah Lyles, Dennis Schroeder. And I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I think Scotty Barnes is going to be put in a position to succeed as a point forward. You can say there's a little bit of like an overlap between Anunoby and Siakam, but I think they're going to have better years too. The floor is going to be spaced out more. There's not going to be late game shot clock situations in which VanVleet's flinging it from 30 feet. I think there's going to be a lot more structure and ball movement in the offense under Rajakovic. And they got depth too, because Gary Trent Jr., he knows he's playing as a sixth man, and he knows he's going to be that sixth man scoring off the bench. So he knows his role. And I think that's the big key. That's a big key for him. And also, they do have some depth in like Boucher, Precious Lachua if he's healthy, Jalen McDaniels, who I loved as an addition to that team. Otto Porter Jr. is healthy. Don't forget Jakob Poeltl playing at the 5 under a new training camp under his belt too. There's just a lot more depth on this team. I think they're going to play more cohesive. I think there's going to be better chemistry with this team. But I also think the East is deep enough in which I don't see them getting out of the play-in picture. I don't see them like they have to go through the play-in to make the playoffs. Because Celtics, Bucks, Cavs, Knicks, Heat, Sixers, and even Pacers to a degree to me, they're all better. They're all better. Now, can they exceed expectations and maybe make it maybe surprise people as the fifth and sixth is going maybe 5 or 6? Maybe. It happened 2 seasons ago. I just don't see it happening.
Well, Cajun, my answer's not gonna be as long-winded as yours because your team sucks, my team doesn't. The Celtics' peak is number one team in the NBA, number one team in the East, and number one team in the NBA. Their floor is probably the 3 seed in the East, but you wouldn't think they get lower than the 2 seed. But I think like the absolute bottom out Celtics are a 3 seed. I think they get the 2 seed. You said they get the 1 seed. I think.
Weird enough, and you're the Celtics fan here.
I mean, sorry that I think Lillard and Giannis is going to win 60 games this year, maybe 65 games this year. But again, I think they're going to be close. I think those 2 teams are going to be within 1 or 2 wins, the Celtics and the Bucks, regardless of who's 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a starting lineup of Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Kristaps Porzingis is gross. That's probably the best starting 5 in the NBA. As a 5, without individual players, no offense to Phoenix, who have 3 great players, but like, who are the other 2 guys?
Nurkic at the 5, and who knows at the 3.
Yeah, who knows who's playing around Kevin Durant if he's playing the 3 or the 4. And then the Celtics got Peyton Pritchard, who they made moves to get minutes for Peyton Pritchard, which makes me excited.
And he's looked good in preseason. Actually,
Looks great. He's looked great in preseason. Delano Banton, former Toronto Raptor, he'll have some minutes off the bench. I love me some Sam Hauser, former Virginia Cavalier for Coach Bennett. You also, of course, still got the big guy, the old man, Al Horford. You got the fresh rookie that they stole basically from, I think it was Sacramento's draft pick in Jordan Walsh out of Arkansas. And I still love J.D. Davison. Davison, a draft pick that the Celtics made 2 years ago in the second round. He was supposed to be a development point guard who wasn't a really good shooter at Alabama, raw passer, had some raw ability. We'll see if he makes any rotation minutes because of the lack of backup guards now with both Smart and Brogdon gone. So I'm excited for the Celtics team. I'm honest. Like, a lot of young guys I like. Pritchard, Davison, Hauser's not really young, but still a younger guy, a draft pick. Walsh. You still got Al Horford as a veteran. The starting lineup looks great. I can't wait to see those 5 guys on the floor together, and Holiday, White, Porzingis, of course, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. So I'm excited for the Celtics team, and I genuinely think they could be the best team in the NBA this year. I agree with you. I think they could be the number 1 team in the East and the best team in the NBA. But I just don't know if they're going to be able to out-duel Milwaukee. Because that's the only team they're fighting, in my opinion, is Milwaukee.
I have to agree with you there. There's only 2 issues. There's 2 concerns I have with the Celtics.
No, that's the Celtics.
That's
the Celtics. That's number 1. Is that they're the Celtics.
Yep. 1, they are a little bit top heavy, but you need star power and depth in order to win the title. 2, their shot diet, their shot selection and shot diet has to change. What we saw last season can't happen.
I agree with you, but I think that's why they got Porzingis, because Porzingis is a good, can score in the post. I'm not saying he's a great post player, but he's a good post player.
But so is Al Horford at one point, and yeah, he's jacking up 3s now too.
Yeah, but he's also old. He don't know bang no post. He'll get hurt. That's why they got the young guy. And the guy who's more healthy than my boy Robert Williams.
Absolutely. It's just you gotta diversify your offense if you're Joe Mazzulla. You can't resort to chucking up 3s, because if it goes in, it looks great. But the problem is if it doesn't. Yeah. And if it doesn't go in, it gets ugly really, really quick. That's why I kind of like the additions of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, because they're not shot chuckers like that from behind the arc. They try to attack. Drew Holiday is more of a defense first guard and can attack the rim at times too. And Porzingis will show off his prowess in the post and can step out from behind the arc too, opening up driving lanes for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But bottom line is they do have the talent. And to me, there's three contenders there's three contenders who could win it all. The Bucks, the Celtics, and I'm gonna say the Nuggets. Actually, no, 4. The Suns.
Yeah, I think you gotta mention that both top 2 seeds in both conferences are teams we both expect to be not necessarily in the Western Conference Finals, but in the debate for the best teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
Are those 4 teams? Both you and I put them at number 1 and number 2 in our season rankings we just did.
Yep.
So they're both teams you and I expect to be the best teams in the league
And
for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. My issue with the Celtics, they got to diversify their offense. Because what happened last season cannot fly under any circumstance. Because it's a recipe for you might get away with it in the first 2 rounds. You're not going to get away with it in the conference finals against the Bucks. You're not going to get away with that in the NBA finals like that. And take care of the basketball.
And I think that's why the trades were made, as you said. So I think you're right. I do think that the Celtics offense needs to makes a change to not shoot as many threes as the Warriors do. But I think that's why they got some of the guys they did, is so they don't have to.
That works for the Warriors. That does not work for the Celtics when it matters.
No, it doesn't. So hopefully Holiday, the defender he is and the passer he is, and Porzingis as well, being able to be the post player that the Celtics have needed. Hopefully those 2 additions, with Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench, with Hauser, with Horford, etc. Davison maybe off the bench as well as a passer. We'll see what this team looks like. But I think the Celtics will be the second best team in the East and maybe the second best team in the NBA. Because I wouldn't be surprised either if the Bucks are the best team in the NBA and the Celtics are just behind them at number 2. I have no offense to Phoenix or the Nuggets, but I mean, those top 4 teams are going to be the best 4 teams in the NBA. And I don't really think it's going to be close between the 2 conferences. But it's going to be really interesting to see how top heavy the league is this year. With the Suns, with the Bucks, with the Nuggets, with the Celtics,
and as much as the LA teams are dogged down because of like health and whatnot, they are very talented too. So they could easily crash a party.
And so could Cleveland.
Yeah. I don't see it with Cleveland because I still think they need that they need that small forward. I still think that's a big hole for them. And against a team like Boston or like Milwaukee, that's going to dog them. That's going to hurt them. I think they're good at 4 of the 5 positions in terms of starting lineup, in terms of the starting lineup. But it's that 3. And you need wing players, and you need superstar wing players to win in the NBA, unless you're an all-world talent like Jokic.
Well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But I think we overstayed our welcome.
Yep.
Just a little bit. So, for Kajan, Thiru Thani-Castle, I'm Spencer Byers. Thank you so much for taking us in here today. We'll be back on Thursday for another edition of Polar Opposites here on the Outrage Inc.